My husband rushed me to the emergency room with blood running down my face. He held my hand, kissed my forehead, told the nurses I fell down the stairs. But I didn't fall. He pushed me. And this wasn't the first time. It was just the first time someone else would see what he'd been doing to me for 12 years. Before we continue, please comment below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to help us hit that big 1,000 subscriber milestone. Let me take you back to where it all started. Back to when I was 30 years old and thought I'd found my forever. Darnell Robinson walked into my mama's church on a Sunday morning wearing a sharp navy suit and a smile that could light up the whole sanctuary. He had that confidence, that swagger, the kind that made every woman in the choir look twice. I was singing that morning. His eye is on the sparrow, my solo. Darnell locked eyes with me from the third pew and didn't look away. After service, he found me at the fellowship hall. "You got a voice like an angel," he said. "I'm Darnell, just moved here from Atlanta for work." He was a project manager for a construction company. Good job. Nice car. No kids. No baby mama drama. My sister Tiffany warned me he seemed too smooth, too perfect. But I was tired of being alone. Tired of watching everyone else find their person while I went home to an empty apartment every night. We got married 8 months later. Small wedding at the church. Mama cried happy tears. Tiffany stood beside me as maid of honor, still looking worried. I told her she was being paranoid. That Darnell was good to me. That he loved me. For the first year, he did. Then things started changing. Small things at first. He didn't like my friends, said they were messy, always in somebody's business. So I stopped going to girls' night. He didn't like how close I was with Tiffany. Said she was jealous of our happiness. So I stopped calling her every day like I used to. He started checking my phone, my emails, my location. Said he just wanted to make sure I was safe. That the world was dangerous for a beautiful woman like me. I believed him. I thought it meant he cared. The first time he hit me, I'd gone to the grocery store without telling him. He'd been in the shower. I figured I'd be back before he even noticed. But when I walked through the door with bags of groceries, he was standing in the living room, face twisted with rage. "Where were you?" His voice was quiet, too quiet. "Just getting food for dinner, baby. We were out of..." The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. My head snapped to the side. The grocery bags hit the floor, eggs cracked and oozed across the tile. "You don't leave this house without telling me where you're going." He grabbed my chin, forced me to look at him. "You understand me, Shanice?" I nodded, too shocked to speak, too scared to move. He kissed my forehead. "Good. Now clean up this mess. I'll order us some takeout." That night, I convinced myself it was a one-time thing, that he'd been stressed at work, that I should have told him I was leaving, that maybe, in some twisted way, it was partially my fault. But that wasn't even the worst part. It happened again 2 weeks later, then again a month after that. Each time, the excuses changed. I'd burned dinner. I'd worn a dress he thought was too tight. I'd smiled at the mailman. I'd breathed wrong, existed wrong, been myself wrong. The hits turned to punches, the punches turned to worse. He broke my left arm when I was 32, told the ER doctor I'd slipped on ice, burned my shoulder with an iron when I was 34, told my coworkers I'd had an accident in the laundry room, cracked 3 of my ribs when I was 36, didn't even let me go to the hospital that time, said I'd heal on my own. I stopped going to church. Couldn't face my mama's questions about the bruises. Stopped talking to Tiffany altogether after Darnell found out she'd called and accused me of abandoning our relationship. Lost my job at the bank because I'd missed too many days recovering from injuries I couldn't explain. I became a ghost in my own life. Trapped in a house that felt like a prison with a man who promised to love me, but only knew how to hurt me. Last Tuesday started like any other day. Darnell left for work at 7 in the morning, kissed me goodbye like he hadn't strangled me the night before for not having his dinner ready on time. I spent the morning cleaning, scrubbing, trying to make everything perfect so he'd have no reason to be angry when he came home. But perfect was never good enough. He came home at 6. I'd made his favorite: smothered pork chops with mac and cheese and collard greens. The house was spotless. I'd even put on the blue dress he liked, the one that made me look like the woman I used to be before he broke me down into nothing. "Food's ready, baby," I said when he walked through the door. He didn't respond, just walked to the kitchen, looked at the plate I'd fixed for him. Then he picked it up and threw it against the wall. Food splattered everywhere. The plate shattered into a dozen pieces. "This is cold." His voice was ice. "I just took it off the stove, Darnell. Don't tell me what it is." He grabbed me by my hair, dragged me across the kitchen. "You trying to poison me? Feed me cold food like I'm some dog?" "Please, baby, I'm sorry. I'll make you another plate. His fist connected with my jaw, then my stomach, then my face again. I fell to the floor, tasted blood. The room started spinning. I heard him yelling, felt his boot in my ribs. Then, everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was in his car. He was driving fast, too fast, crying and mumbling about how sorry he was, how he didn't mean it, how I made him do it, but he loved me and everything would be okay. My whole body screamed with pain. I couldn't think straight, couldn't focus. The world kept fading in and out like a bad TV signal. Then we were at the hospital. He was carrying me through the automatic doors, yelling for help, playing the role of the concerned husband so perfectly it would have won him an Oscar. "Please, someone help my wife! She fell down the stairs! She's hurt bad!" Nurses rushed over with a wheelchair. Strong hands lifted me. Voices asked questions I couldn't answer. Darnell stayed close, his hand on my shoulder, his voice in my ear. "Baby, you're gonna be fine. Just tell them what happened. Tell them you fell. You remember, right? You fell down the stairs." But I didn't fall, and the nurse looking at me with sharp, knowing eyes didn't believe him either. Her name tag said Lakeisha Hendricks, RN. She was maybe late 30s, brown skin, box braids pulled back in a ponytail. She looked at my face, then at my arms, then at Darnell. Her expression changed, hardened. "Sir, we need to examine your wife. You can wait in the lobby." "I'm not leaving her," Darnell said. His grip on my shoulder tightened. A warning. "Hospital policy." Lakeisha's voice was firm. "You can't be in the exam room during initial assessment." I said I'm not, and I said hospital policy. She stepped between us, broke his hold on me. "The lobby is that way. We'll call you when you can see her." For a moment, I thought he'd explode right there in the hallway. His jaw clenched, his hands balled into fists, but there were too many people watching, too many witnesses. So he forced a smile, kissed my forehead, whispered in my ear, "Remember what I said, Shanice. You fell. Don't make me remind you what happens when you forget." Then he walked toward the lobby, but he looked back 3 times, making sure I saw him, making sure I knew he was watching. Lakeisha wheeled me into an exam room and shut the door. The click of the lock sounded like freedom. She helped me onto the bed. Her hands were gentle, professional, but her eyes were filled with something else, recognition. "Honey," she said softly, kneeling so we were eye level. "I need you to know something. Whatever you tell me in this room is confidential. You understand? Your husband can't hear, can't see, can't hurt you here." I opened my mouth to say I fell, to repeat the lie I'd told so many times. It felt like truth. But something in her face stopped me, something that said she knew. She'd seen this before. Maybe she'd lived it herself. And for the first time in 12 years, the truth came out. "He did this," I whispered. He's been doing this for 12 years. Lakeisha squeezed my hand. I know, baby. I know. And we're gonna help you. But first, we need to document everything. Every bruise, every cut, every broken bone. Can you be strong for me? Can you let us help you? I nodded, tears streaming down my face, pain radiating through my entire body. She opened the door and called for Dr. Caldwell. Within minutes, the room filled with people. A doctor, another nurse, a woman in a blazer who introduced herself as Geneva Wright, the hospital social worker. They moved around me like a well-trained team, taking photos, documenting injuries, asking questions. Dr. Caldwell was an older black woman with silver locks and gentle hands. She examined me carefully. Her face grew darker with each discovery. Fracture to the left orbital bone, recent. Multiple contusions to the face and torso. Several older fractures that healed incorrectly. Burns on the shoulder and back. Severe bruising around the neck consistent with strangulation. She looked at Geneva. Get the police, and keep that man away from this room. But that wasn't going to be easy, because at that exact moment, Darnell kicked open the exam room door, rage burning in his eyes, and everyone in that room realized the real fight had just begun. The door slammed against the wall so hard it left a dent in the plaster. Darnell stood in the doorway like a storm ready to destroy everything in its path. His chest heaving, his eyes wild, but he wasn't looking at the nurses or the doctor or the social worker. He was looking at me. What lies you been telling these people, Shanice? Dr. Caldwell stepped between us. This woman was maybe 5'4" and 60 years old, but she stood her ground like she was made of steel. Sir, you need to leave this room immediately. Security has been called. Security? Darnell laughed, but there was no humor in it. For what? Checking on my wife? That's a crime now? Violating hospital protocol is. Lakeisha moved to stand beside Dr. Caldwell. And assaulting your wife is definitely a crime, so you can walk out now, or the police can drag you out in handcuffs. Your choice. I watched something shift in Darnell's face. He was calculating, weighing his options. He'd always been smart like that. Knowing exactly when to push and when to pull back, when to explode and when to play the victim. He turned on the charm like flipping a switch. Look, I think there's been a misunderstanding. His voice went soft, reasonable. The same voice he used at church, at family gatherings, in public. My wife had an accident. She fell down the stairs at our house. I brought her here because I love her, because I was worried, and now y'all treating me like I'm some kind of monster. Geneva Wright stepped forward. She had these glasses that made her look like somebody's strict auntie, the kind who didn't play games. Mr. Robinson, your wife has injuries consistent with long-term domestic violence, multiple fractures that healed incorrectly, burns, strangulation marks. These injuries don't come from falling downstairs. She's clumsy, Darnell said. His jaw tightened. Always has been. Trips over her own feet, burns herself cooking. I can't watch her every second of the day. That's enough. Dr. Caldwell pulled out her phone. Security? We have a situation in exam room 4, and someone call the police. Now. Darnell's mask slipped. For just a second, I saw the real him. The monster he kept hidden from everyone else. His hands clenched into fists, his nostrils flared. He took one step toward me. That's when 2 security guards burst through the door. Both of them were big men, built like linebackers. They grabbed Darnell by his arms and started pulling him backward. Get your hands off me, Darnell struggled, thrashed. That's my wife. I got a right to see my wife. Not anymore you don't, Geneva said calmly. We're filing an emergency protective order. You come within 500 feet of her, you're going to jail. They dragged him out into the hallway. His voice echoed through the emergency room, yelling, cursing, making threats. promising he'd make me pay for this, that I'd regret embarrassing him, that I was nothing without him. Every word was a knife in my chest, because I knew he meant it. I knew when he got out of this hospital, he'd find a way to make me suffer worse than ever before. Lakeisha locked the door behind them, came back to my bedside, took my hand. "He can't hurt you here, baby. We got you." But I thought I knew better. Darnell always found a way. Always. What I didn't know yet was that this hospital had dealt with men like him before, and they had a plan I never could have imagined. 20 minutes later, Officer Raymond Clark walked into my room. He was a black man in his 50s with kind eyes and a gentle voice, the kind of officer who actually cared about people. He pulled up a chair beside my bed. "Ms. Robinson, I'm Officer Clark. I know this is hard, but I need you to tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Take your time." So I did. I told him about the first slap, the broken bones, the burns, the nights I thought he might actually kill me, the isolation, the fear, the shame, every ugly detail I'd kept hidden for 12 years. He wrote it all down, never interrupted, never judged, just listened. "Ms. Robinson, I want you to know something." He closed his notebook. "What happened to you isn't your fault, none of it. And the fact that you're talking to me right now, that takes more courage than most people will ever have." "I'm scared," I whispered. "He's gonna kill me when he finds me, I know he will." "Not if we can help it." Officer Clark stood up. "We're gonna get you somewhere safe. And we're gonna build a case against him so strong that he won't see the outside of a prison cell for a very long time." Geneva came back into the room carrying a folder thick with papers. "Shanice, I've made some calls. We have a bed available at a women's shelter. It's confidential. He won't be able to find you there. You can stay as long as you need." A shelter. I'd never thought about leaving. Never believed I could survive without Darnell. He'd spent 12 years convincing me I was worthless, that no one else would want me, that I needed him. But sitting in that hospital bed, surrounded by people who actually cared about my safety, I started to believe maybe he'd been lying about that too. "There's something else," Geneva said softly. "Is there anyone we can call? Family? Friends? Someone who can support you through this?" My mind went immediately to Tiffany, my sister, the one I'd pushed away because Darnell told me to, the one who'd called me dozens of times over the years, the one I'd ignored because I was too ashamed to admit she'd been right about him all along. "My sister," I said. "Tiffany Hayes. I haven't talked to her in almost 4 years. I don't even know if she'll answer." "Let me try," Geneva said. "What's her number?" I recited it from memory, the number I'd deleted from my phone but never from my heart. Geneva stepped into the hallway to make the call. I sat there wondering if Tiffany would even pick up, if she'd forgiven me for abandoning her, if she'd want anything to do with me after all this time. 5 minutes later, Geneva came back in. She was smiling. "Your sister is on her way," she said, and I quote, "Tell Shanice I'm coming to get my baby sister, and that sorry man better hope the police find him before I do." I started crying again. But this time it wasn't from pain. It was relief. Tiffany hadn't given up on me. Even after years of silence. Even after I'd chosen Darnell over her again and again. She was still my sister. Still my family. But what happened next taught me something I'd forgotten. That sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are actually the ones destroying you from the inside out. Dr. Caldwell came back with X-ray results. She pulled them up on a computer screen. My body looked like a roadmap of violence, fractures, breaks, burns, 12 years of abuse documented in black and white. "Shanice, I've been an ER doctor for 28 years, she said. "I've seen a lot of domestic violence cases, but yours is one of the worst. The fact that you're alive right now is honestly a miracle." "How bad is it?" I asked. Your orbital bone is fractured. 3 ribs are broken. You have a severe concussion, second-degree burns on your back and shoulder. And, she paused, zoomed in on one of the x-rays. This fracture in your left arm never healed right. It's causing nerve damage. You're going to need surgery to correct it. How much is all this going to cost? My voice was small. Darnell controlled all our money. I didn't have access to bank accounts, credit cards, anything. I had nothing. Don't worry about that right now, Geneva said. We have resources, victim assistance programs, organizations that help women in your situation. We're going to make sure you get the care you need. An hour passed, then another. They moved me to a private room on the 4th floor, away from the emergency room, away from where Darnell might try to find me. Lakeisha stayed with me the whole time, talking, keeping me calm, reminding me I wasn't alone. Then I heard a voice in the hallway, loud, familiar, full of emotion. Where's my sister? Which room? Don't tell me I can't see her. I drove an hour to get here. The door burst open. Tiffany stood there looking exactly like I remembered. Same high cheekbones, same fierce eyes, same protective energy that had always made me feel safe. She was older now. Her hair was shorter, but she was still Tiffany, still my big sister. She rushed to my bedside, saw my face, and broke down crying. Oh my God, Shanice! Oh my God, what did he do to you? She held me while I cried, apologized for everything, for pushing her away, for not believing her, for wasting 12 years of my life on a man who never deserved me. Shh, baby girl, don't apologize, Tiffany said. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. And I'm here now. I'm not going anywhere, you hear me? I'm not leaving you again. Geneva gave us privacy. Let us have our moment. But before she left, she handed me a business card. There's a woman I want you to meet, she said. Her name is Dominique Foster. She went through something similar to what you're experiencing. She survived. She testified against her abuser. And now she helps other women find their voice. I think talking to her might help you when you're ready. I took the card, tucked it under my pillow. Right now, I just wanted to be with my sister, to remember what it felt like to be loved without pain, to be valued without conditions. But my moment of peace didn't last long, because 2 hours later, Officer Clark came back with news that made my blood run cold. They'd arrested Darnell at the hospital, charged him with assault and battery, domestic violence, false imprisonment. The list went on. But that wasn't the terrifying part. The terrifying part was what they found when they searched our house. A loaded gun under our bed, with my fingerprints on it, and a note in Darnell's handwriting that said if I ever tried to leave him, he'd kill me and tell the police I was planning to kill him first, that he was just defending himself. He'd been planning my murder for months and setting it up to look like self-defense. The gun sat in a plastic evidence bag on Officer Clark's desk. My fingerprints were all over it. I stared at it like it was a snake ready to strike. When did he make me touch it? My voice shook. I don't even remember. That's how abusers work, Officer Clark said. He probably handed it to you for some innocent reason. Asked you to move it, clean around it, put something in the drawer. He was setting up his exit strategy, making sure if you ever tried to leave, he could claim self-defense. Tiffany squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. That man is evil. Pure evil. Officer Clark leaned forward. Ms. Robinson, I won't lie to you. This complicates things. His defense attorney is going to use this. They're going to paint you as the aggressor. Say you were planning to hurt him and he was just protecting himself. But we have the medical evidence, the documented history of abuse, the note in his handwriting, and most importantly, we have you. Your testimony. My testimony. The thought of sitting in a courtroom and facing Darnell terrified me more than anything. Looking at him, having him look at me, knowing he'd be right there listening to every word. I don't know if I can do it, I whispered. You can, Tiffany said, and you will. Because if you don't, he walks free, and the next woman he puts his hands on might not survive. She was right. I knew she was right. But knowing something and having the strength to do it are two very different things. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. I stayed at the women's shelter, a small room with a twin bed and a dresser. But it was mine. Safe, quiet. For the first time in 12 years, I could breathe without wondering when the next hit was coming. Geneva visited twice a week, helped me apply for emergency financial assistance, walked me through the legal process, explained what would happen in court. But talking about it and living it are different things. That's when I met Dominique Foster. She walked into the shelter's common room on a Thursday afternoon, beautiful dark-skinned sister with natural hair and a scar above her left eyebrow. She sat down across from me and smiled. Geneva told me about you, she said. Told me you were scared about testifying, that you didn't think you were strong enough. I'm not, I said. That's what I thought too. She pulled up her sleeve, showed me a burn scar that ran from her wrist to her elbow. My ex-husband did this with a pot of boiling water. That was year 7. Took me 3 more years after that to leave. Another year to testify. But I did it. And he's serving 15 years because I found my voice. What if I freeze up there? What if I can't get the words out? Then you look at him. Dominique's eyes were fierce, strong. You look at that man who tried to destroy you, and you remember every single thing he did. Every bruise, every lie, every time he made you feel small, and you speak your truth so loud that judge and jury have no choice but to hear you. Something shifted in me that day. Dominique didn't just tell me I could do it. She showed me what survival looked like on the other side. She gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, I could be more than Darnell's victim. But I didn't know that the hardest part was still ahead of me. The trial started on a cold Monday morning in November. I walked into that courtroom wearing a blue dress Tiffany had bought me, my hands shaking, my stomach in knots. And there he was, Darnell, sitting at the defense table in a suit and tie, looking like a respectable businessman instead of the monster I knew him to be. He smiled at me, that same charming smile that had fooled me all those years ago. My legs almost gave out. The prosecutor, Candace Marshall, was a sharp sister in her 40s who looked like she ate defense attorneys for breakfast. She built the case piece by piece. Medical records, photos of my injuries, the note Darnell had written, the gun, Officer Clark's testimony, Dr. Caldwell's expert opinion. Then it was my turn. I walked to the witness stand feeling like I might throw up. The bailiff swore me in. Candace asked me to state my name, and for a moment, I couldn't remember how to speak. Then I looked at the back of the courtroom. Tiffany was there, Dominique beside her, Geneva, Lakeisha, Dr. Caldwell, all these women who had saved my life, who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I found my voice. I told them everything. The first slap, the broken bones, the isolation, the fear, the years of being told I was worthless, of believing I deserved it, of thinking there was no way out. Darnell's attorney tried to break me, asked why I stayed so long if it was really that bad, suggested maybe I was exaggerating, making things up because I wanted his money, wanted revenge for a failed marriage. I stayed because he convinced me no one else would want me, I said, my voice steady now, strong. I stayed because he threatened to kill me if I left. I stayed because I was terrified. But I'm not terrified anymore, because the truth is louder than his lies, and I'm done being silent. The courtroom was so quiet you could hear people breathing. But then Darnell's attorney played his trump card, brought up the gun, my fingerprints, suggested maybe I was the dangerous one. Maybe Darnell was just trying to protect himself from an unstable wife. I watched the jury's faces, saw doubt creeping in. My heart sank. That's when everything changed. Candace stood up. Your Honor, the prosecution calls one more witness, someone who came forward just this morning. The courtroom doors opened. An older black woman walked in, maybe 70 years old, gray hair, tired eyes. She looked at Darnell with pure disgust. It was his mother, Dorothy Robinson. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Darnell's face went pale. His attorney jumped up to object, but Judge Thompson shut him down. Dorothy took the stand, looked straight at her son. I knew, she said. Her voice was quiet but powerful. I knew what you were doing to that girl. I saw the bruises when y'all came to Sunday dinner. I heard the way you talked to her, the way you controlled her. Mom, don't, Darnell started. Be quiet, Judge Thompson snapped. Dorothy continued. 5 years ago, I tried to talk to Shanice, pulled her aside at a family barbecue, told her she didn't have to stay, that I would help her leave, but she wasn't ready to hear it. She was too far under your control. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry I didn't do more, baby. I'm sorry I let my son do this to you. Then she turned back to Darnell. But I'm not going to let you lie your way out of this. You are your father's son. He beat me for 30 years before cancer took him, and I promised myself I'd never let another woman suffer the way I did if I could stop it. So yes, he did this, all of it, and I hope you rot in that cell thinking about the good woman you destroyed. The courtroom exploded. Darnell screamed at his mother, called her a traitor, a liar. The bailiffs had to restrain him. Judge Thompson threatened to hold him in contempt. But the damage was done. His own mother had sealed his fate. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all charges: assault and battery, domestic violence, attempted murder, false imprisonment. The list went on. Judge Thompson sentenced him to 25 years. No parole for at least 15. I should have felt victorious, relieved, free. And I did. But I also felt something else. Grief. Because I'd lost 12 years of my life to that man. 12 years I'd never get back. My mama had passed away 3 years ago. Never got to see me free. Never got to know I'd finally escaped. I'd missed weddings, birthdays, moments with my family I could never reclaim. Dorothy Robinson hugged me outside the courtroom. Your mama would be so proud of you, she whispered. I know she would. Maybe, but she'd never get to tell me herself. 6 months later, I started volunteering at the same shelter that had saved me, helping other women find their voice, their strength, their way out. Dominique trained me, taught me how to sit with scared women and show them survival was possible. I never remarried, never wanted to, but I found something better than romantic love. I found purpose, community, sisters who understood. And slowly, piece by piece, I found myself again. The woman Darnell had tried to destroy. The woman who refused to stay broken. That's the end of this story. If it touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe. Have you experienced something similar? Share your story in the comments below.